Hey, and welcome to another episode of the Bracketeers. Um, we're closing down round 4 of the actresses bracket, and it's really going to heat. And then we're also going to announce the first round of the bands bracket, see how that is playing out. But here we are. We've got Kate Blanchett versus Judy Garland. And Kate Blanchett wins pretty easily here with 70% of the votes. We've got Amy Adams as Charlize Theron, and Amy Adams takes it with 80% of the votes. Which means in the semis we've got Kate Blanchett versus Amy Adams. I'm going to go with Kate Blanchett on this. I think she can hold the momentum and move on, but it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And the second semi-final, we've got Meryl Streep versus Julie Andrews. Meryl Streep takes it for 70% of the votes. And then we've got Natalie Portman versus Anne Hathaway. And Natalie takes it for 80% of the votes. Which means we've got Meryl Streep versus Natalie Portman. I'm going to lean towards Meryl Streep on this, but that is going to be really interesting because that's very close seated as well. So, so for the extras we've got Kate Blanchett versus Amy Adams. Going to go actually, I'm going to go Amy Adams on this actually. And then we've got Meryl Streep versus Natalie Portman, and I'm going to go Meryl Streep on this. So voting for that is open, but we move on to the bands bracket. Did I get it up there? Actually, I'll keep that for now. But our first round of the our first match of the bands bracket, we've got the Beatles versus the band The Royal Foundry. For me, this is easy. I'm going to go to the Beatles on this. Match number 2, we've got Doors versus the Killers. I am going to go to the Doors because I really do not like the Killers. But that one's going to be interesting to see what happens. So wait, my computer's doing crazy things here. But we've got Panic at the Disco versus Crowded House. And Andrew, the Doors versus the Killers may hurt your soul, but Panic at the Disco is probably going to win because the community apparently does not like New Zealand music, and great band Crowded House will probably not win there. Um, the next matchup we have is Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers versus Big Time Rush. Um, I think um, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers will probably take this out. Um, but yeah, it's going to be interesting. Next matchup we have is Green Day versus Matchbox 20. This is one I think Green Day's probably going to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Matchbox 20 causes the upset here. But next up, we have got the band for King and Country up against NWA. I mean, I think NWA might win because of name recognition, but I wouldn't be surprised if For King and Country takes it out, even though I don't actually know the band. Next up, we've got Rush versus Bare Naked Ladies. But this one is, I'm probably going to go Rush on this because anyone who's not named Brooklyn Vale doesn't like Bare Naked Ladies, so they're not going to want to see it go through. Um, but next up, we've got Talking Heads up against the Foo Fighters. I'm going to lean slightly to, and I hate to say this, but I think Foo Fighters might win because, as much as I like Talking Heads, a lot of the people. Okay, everyone whose name's not Andrew Barr or Brooklyn Vale likes Bare Naked Ladies, but yeah, Talking Heads versus Foo Fighters. I think Foo Fighters are probably going to take this out, but I think Talking Heads is much better. Next up, we've got the Beach Boys versus 9 Inch Nails. This is tough, but I think the Beach Boys take it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if 9 Inch Nails upsets. Um, I mean, Talking Heads, Andrew, Talking Heads is technically the highest seed on this, but yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of people that do like Foo Fighters as well, so I think that's um. Next up, we've got Pearl Jam versus Florence and the Machine. Um, this is a tough one for me because I do like both of these bands. But I think if I had to pick one, I'll probably lean towards Florence and the Machine. Um, but yeah. Next up, we've got U2 versus Linkin Park. Um, I do not like Linkin Park. I'm going to be voting U2, but this is another one which I really won't be surprised if there's an upset here. Um, but the next matchup, we've got a Journey to the Oasis, and I think Journey takes this here. As much as I like Oasis, as much as I like songs like Wonderwall and Champagne Supernova, I think Journey with Faithfully and Don't Stop Believing, I think, is better. But that's another one which is really an interesting one to call because you don't really know sort of how people are going to be perceiving them. Next matchup we've got is Fleetwood Mac versus At the Drive-In. I think this is another one which is going to be Fleetwood Mac's to lose because I think, once again, I think some of the more indie bands which people have gotten because they're really high up on their lists, I think they're going to lose just because not a lot of people may have heard of them. Um, but next up, we've got Blink 182 versus the Smiths. This is the one that I I like the Smiths better, but I wouldn't be too surprised if Blink 182 takes this out. Um, but next up is one that's going to hurt Andrew because it's Aerosmith versus Mariana's Trench. The one that he was worried wasn't going to make it in until a certain Cameron Holzman helped it in. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go Aerosmith on this. I've not actually heard of Mariana's Trench until it was brought up, but I I really like Aerosmith, and yeah, I do think it's better. The next matchup is um, Pink Floyd versus Nickelback. Um, with the reception that Nickelback has gotten, I am surprised that it got as high as it did in this bracket. But I think Nickelback is just going to run into a wall, and Pink Floyd's going to win. Um, so I mean, Pink Floyd is a phenomenal band, and I do think um, it's winning this. The next matchup we have is Crean versus Oingo Boingo, um, and I think Crean is winning this easily. Sorry, Matthew, but um, not a lot of people care about Oingo Boingo, I don't think. Um, but next up, we've got Paramore versus Nirvana. Um, I'm going to go Paramore on this pretty easily. I'm not a big fan of Nirvana. So, I mean, but this is another one which I feel that it can go either way, depending on how their voting goes. But yeah. Um, Next up, we have the Rolling Stones versus Walk Off the Earth. Um, but I think Rolling Stones are winning this. Once again, I think this is another case of Rolling Stones will win because the other option is another indie band which not a lot of people may have heard of. So um, next up, we've got the Bee Gees versus Blondie. Um, I'm going to go with Bee Gees on this. When it comes with it's this music from Saturday Night Fever, um, there's so many good songs that Bee Gees have had out there. Well, Blondie has had a great catalog as well. I think the Bee Gees is better. and that's where I'm going to lean. But once again, it's going to be it's a tough battle, and I think it's going to come really close. The next one is Led Zeppelin versus OAR. I think Led Zeppelin wins this easily. Um, it's going to stop in a slow motion pause playing Immigrant Song. But yeah, OAR, I can't say much about this because I don't even actually listened to any of their songs or even heard of them. So, um, but yeah, next up, we've got Jimi Hendrix Experience versus Radiohead. Um, this is a tough one. Um, but I'm going to go. I'm going to go Radiohead on this. I think Jimi Hendrix Experience is great, but I think Radiohead is going to pull through in the end. Um, but it's going to be a tough one. Um, next up, we've got My Chemical Romance versus Patent Pending. Um, but and I'm going to go. I mean, even though I don't like them, I think My Chemical Romance will take the step because once again, it's name recognition versus indie band, which made it in because it was really high up on people's lists. So, um, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. Next up, we've got a really tough battle with Bon Jovi versus Guns N' Roses. Um, two bands that originated in the 80s. Um, but um, but I'm going to go Bon Jovi on this. As much as I like Guns N' Roses, I think Bon Jovi is the better catalog of music. But yeah, um, the next matchup we have is the Who versus the Wu-Tang Clan. Um, but I this is one I think the Who may take it out. Um, the Wu-Tang Clan is great, but don't think there's enough for a Wu-Tang Clan to be able to take out the Who, who's had a lot of great hits, at least, and with at least four of them being CSI theme songs. Um, next up, we've got ABBA versus Fallout Boy. Um, this is going to be really interesting because I think the way this community is going to go, I think Fallout Boy is probably going to win because I think more people like him. But um, personally, I think Abbott is better, and so yeah. But next up, we've got Metallica versus the Police. Um, I'm going to lean. I'm actually going to lean towards the Police on this one. But I do personally think Metallica is going to win. Because I think there's a lot of people in the community that like them more. But it's definitely a tough one. But next up, we've got Reza versus the Jonas Brothers. Um, and I'm going to go with Reza on this because um, I didn't think Jonas Brothers were as loved um, as I found as they were when I saw people's lists just doing this. But yeah, I think Reese's going to take it out. But if Brothers pulls up the upset, then God help their soul because they will be going up either Metallica or the Police next round. So, um, but we've got Eagles versus Streetlight Manifesto. I think Eagles will win. Pretty much the same reason I've said for a lot of the other matchups that we've got. Um, we've got AC/DC versus the Lonely Island. Um, Now this is going to be really interesting because I think AC/DC will win, but there's a legit chance that Lonely Island is going to be more loved and takes and causes the upset. So either way, so yeah. And then two more matches left. We've got Genesis versus the Junkyard Poets. I think Genesis will win this one. And then, um, yeah, Andrew, I suspect there's probably going to be a lot of people that's going to do that. Um, and then the final matchup, we've got Red Hot Chili Peppers versus Shinedown. I think Red Hot Chili Peppers takes this out. But once again, this is another one I wouldn't be surprised if it's an upset because Shinedown did appear on a few lists. So, but yeah, that brings us to the end of Bracketeers. Um, so whatever happens is going to be really interesting. Um, but yeah, and I mean, we've got Random tonight. It's horror movies of the 80s and 90s. That's coming up at 8:30, and yeah, there's much more to say. You can also find me hosting Formula Random on uh, Full Metal. This week is a Halloween match of Best of Proportions. Um, but yeah, I'm all over the place. I don't know what the next bracket's going to be. I might actually pull some some suggestions for future brackets, and then maybe pick one from those. I don't know, um, but yeah, it's a really fun show. And I mean, it's gets a lot of support because there is a lot of votes. Like this actresses one didn't have a lot of votes on this week's one, but it has bringing they do get a few votes. But yeah, anyway, and see you.